Hey, this is Billie Starkz, and you're listening to Drinkin with Moe's.
All right, everybody, welcome to Drinking at Moe's. Your host, Big Mo here. I am pretty damn excited today because this person I have with me just came off a pretty big weekend with a pretty big win against Dark Sheik. Billie Starkz, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Can't complain. House got remodeled and finally got back in it, so all good here. First thing I like to ask everybody is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you started, making the leap into wrestling?
So, my stepfather, who is Mouse, is a wrestling photographer. So he was the one who introduced me to wrestling, and made me into a fan. And I first started off watching like a lot of WWE and NXT, and then we started going to independent shows, and it was like, for me, I was like, this is what I want to do. It kind of like clicked for me. I was like, oh, this is like something I can actually make into a job and career. And then I found a training place in Indiana and became a wrestler.
Hey, that's awesome. I didn't really myself have too many relatives that kind of got me in. I know, believe for me, it was my uncle, and then I was just hooked. I think my parents, for most of my time, kind of hoped that maybe it was just a phase, me liking it. I'm like, yep, nope, I'm still here. I turned 39 in about a week, so still going at it. But
I think there was times where my mother like didn't understand it. She was like, if it makes you happy, go do it. But yeah. There was a while where she was like, oh my God, what is this?
No, I learned relatively quickly when we had to stay at my now mother-in-law's while the house was getting renovated. Don't watch it around her, because it's just a question like, oh, isn't that illegal? And this, like, I just want to watch. But yeah, for somebody that's, still, relatively new, you're already accomplishing a hell of a lot at such a long age. I have a list here of a few titles: Girl Fight Champion, Second Wrestling, H2O Hybrid. And it's like all of that at the relatively young age that you're at, and getting in there, it's impressive. Like, you don't see, well, at least I've never seen too much until recently, anybody that young actually making the jump into wrestling. So the fact that you're doing it and already accomplishing so much is pretty damn impressive.
Thank you so much. It is like very strange sometimes, because like I am most of the time the youngest person in the locker room, and it's like weird. It's like, this is what we all love, but then there's the kid here.
Yeah.
I've been very lucky that I've met a lot of young wrestlers like myself, like Nicholas Wayne.
Yes.
Nick Wayne, I call him Nicholas all the time. And there's so many people who, like, I don't think they truly understand what it means to like start as a young wrestler.
Yeah.
And it's like so nice being able to find other people like you in wrestling.
Oh yeah, no, I can imagine, because I remember when I first got started watching independent wrestling, I was in the Navy down in San Diego, and a guy who, he's more West Coast, but he's down in Mexico a lot anymore, Ryan Kidd. I was literally my first ever show, and I didn't know this at the time, until a few shows later when they actually started putting him in the shows, that I was literally sitting right next to him at my first ever show. And it's like, I remember he came up here to Omaha a few times, and I'm like, I remember you from then. And he's like, holy shit, I don't really run into too many people that remember me from all the way back then. But he got started pretty young. And one thing I was curious about is, what is it like during the school year, juggling, school and wrestling? Because I mean, I imagine already it's a pretty good exercise in time management.
It's most of the time I've learned that it's very easy for me, but other people have a lot of like, oh, this is kind of crazy what you're doing, but it's become like my normal schedule. It's always like, oh, school during the day, right after school, let's go to the gym. Okay, I might go hang out with my friends for a day. And then every weekend I might leave early on a Friday every once in a while for a show. I try to not miss as much school as possible. It makes my mom stressed. She's like, please, no.
No,
but I'm lucky that I keep really good grades. I'm a straight A student and already took some college courses and stuff like that.
No, that's impressive to juggle everything and still keep those high marks in classes. That's awesome. One thing that I've noticed with when I was doing my homework, and after, I mean, I've watched a bunch of your matches already, is there's a lot, especially with GCW, a lot of, I guess, intergender matches where you're either going one-on-one or scramble matches. What is that like, especially at, like, I sound like a broken record, but at such a young age, jumping in there with guys like, oh, for one, a guy that I interviewed not all that long ago, Tank, and I saw recently a guy I'll ask about a little later, John Wayne Murdoch, and like, these guys are like pretty intense dudes.
In my mind, it's like no different than any other match. It's just a different opponent.
Yeah.
I get very excited when I get to wrestle new people. And like, I hate to say it, but the world of like professional wrestling, there's like very limited amount of women compared to guys. So most of the time I'll get stuck wrestling the same girls over and over. But when I get the opportunity to wrestle the guys, I get so excited because I'm like, I finally get something new. I get to do something different.
No, that is true. And I mean, I've ran into it a little bit with even just trying to get female wrestlers to interview. Like, I ran into it a bunch across the board of either getting no response at all or just playing a bunch of message tag, I guess. But I can understand that. And I mean, there's some people out there that kind of are detractors of intergender wrestling, but I mean, I don't know if you feel the same way about this. I often think that everybody, including me, equality. You want equality. You want, and I figure with intergender wrestling, if you got a female talent out there that wants to prove they can go with the guys, I mean, what better avenue do you have?
I completely agree.
Yeah. And, I mean, we brought up Nick Wayne. I know this weekend I saw, I believe the 10th, there's a match against him.
Yes.
And same weekend, day before this match, like, I'm going to have to order it on Fight, because if it weren't for me having a previous commitment with the Nebraska Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, I probably would be there for you versus Ruby Soho. That one I'm really looking forward to seeing.
I'm extremely excited about this weekend. It's going to be a very, very long weekend because I'm driving from Louisville to Iowa, and then from Iowa to New Jersey, and then back home.
Oh, boy. Yeah, no, that is quite the drive for one weekend right there.
It's almost like that every other weekend.
No, I can imagine you're quite the busy person getting out there to all these shows. I know one thing. Speaking of all the traveling, I might switch the order of these two categories. I used to call it a speed round, but it started never being a speed round. So I just call it a name game and then a random question round. I'll start with the random questions where, they could be wrestling related, could not. You answer how you see fit. But first one, speaking of traveling, what is your go-to road trip snack?
Ooh, right now, it's these watermelon herbo gummies. I love them, but when I'm usually traveling on lunch, I love Slim Jims. I love just chewing. Gives me something to do.
That perfect one right there. You peel the wrapper a little bit and you can steer with one hand, have that in the other. Perfect. Next one, craziest in-match moment.
Ooh. The first one I've came to mind was probably when I wrestled Kylie Ray. It was very interesting because I feel that's when the light bulb finally went off for me. And when we were wrestling, we had this moment where I'm down and she match is over and she goes to shake my hands and I just hear the crowd go, and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. It was the first time that I was what's going on? Because in my head I was I'm just wrestling normal, and it clicked for me. I was oh, I get it now.
Nice. Always nice when you have that moment where it clicks. What is a match type that you would like to avoid being in if you could?
I love triple threats, but I also get stuck in them very often. So I was if anything, I would just eliminate triple threats. I'll do tags. I love scrambles. I love all of that. But I hate triple threats sometimes because I'm why?
I mean, when you get stuck in them quite often, I can see that being the case. And I mean, I know I've seen you in some GCW scrambles, and they've retweeted when I've said this before, but in my opinion, nobody does scramble matches quite like GCW does.
GCW, agreed. They're a different type of breed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, different type of chaos, especially when you factor in all the stuff that, most places wouldn't normally have in just a regular match. I mean, you got people pulling out chairs, doors, all that stuff. I've joked around plenty that GCW might just need to get a damn Home Depot sponsorship with all the damn doors they keep using. But next one, kind of going back to the road trip thing here. What is something you can't go without while you're traveling?
So I have a blanket, my childhood blanket, and I cannot sleep without this. So if it's a long weekend where I'm not home all weekend, I need this blanket, or I literally just don't sleep. My mom thinks I'm insane for it, but I literally have to pass out if I don't have this blanket to lay down and go to sleep.
No, I can understand that. I mean, to be honest, my wife ain't gonna watch. She doesn't watch any of my episodes, but she kind of has the same thing. They're like when we finally got back into our house, she couldn't find this blanket, and I literally had to go back over to her mom's house, find it, and then bring it back. So
I would lose my mind. There was like one time, like I messed with my mom and I was like, oh, I'll let you take my blanket. And she was like, okay, you're finally giving it up. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to give it up. Because we made like a deal of something. I don't remember what it was. And I thought she threw it away for like 3 days. I didn't sleep. I like
no.
wasn't functioning. I just remember coming down the stairs and I look at my mom and I was like, I can't do it anymore. Where's it at? And she was like, it's in the garbage. And I just break down crying in the living room. I was like, I need it. I'm not living anymore.
Oh no. Oh, to be honest, I would never actually do it, but I would be the type that I'd kind of play that joke on my wife. I'm the type that just random pranks. I remember playing one at my A school in the Navy where, well, I guess it's going to be out there now, but every uniform has a hat or cover, and the one for the day was a adjustable ball cap. And we were on a break and nobody paying attention. I'm just walking around nonchalantly, switching everybody's sizes to where it obviously isn't theirs. Too big, too small, whatever. They go to put theirs on at the end of the day and everybody's like, what the fuck? Thing that makes it even funnier. That happened back in 2009. And well, if any of them end up watching this, nobody still knows it was me that did it.
I think that makes it even better.
Oh yeah. No, I always, whenever I would talk about it with anybody that wasn't there, I'd always say, you think that's funny? Just wait. But everybody has different things for hobbies or stuff you like to do on days off. What would like a day in the life of Billie Starkz be for like hobbies or just on your day off?
If it's like a good day off, I might like go see my friends and just hang out for a bit, and then probably play like video games. I might paint. I just finished painting the other side of my door. My mom like gave us freedom to do like whatever we wanted to our rooms.
Okay.
So I painted like the first side and I posted it on Twitter, and then I never did the other side, and then I finally like sat down and was like, I'm gonna finish it.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. It's always good to have time with friends. And I mean, my wife wouldn't let me touch any of that stuff, so I mean, I don't know anything about painting doors or nothing. But next one, we're gonna go with the name game here. I name off some people. You give me your thoughts on them. I like to tailor it to people you've shared the ring with in one way or another, whether one-on-one, scrambles, tag matches, however. First one, kind of mentioned him a little bit ago, John Wayne Murdoch.
Sweetheart. That's the first thing that comes to mind when I hear John Wayne Murdoch.
Oh yeah. No, I've heard good about him, like outside of the ring. I mean, I've talked with him about potentially being on the show, but different things happened to kind of delay it. But he's always been pleasant. I mean, his in-ring persona, bit of a intimidating dude.
Story. But, he's just always been really good to like me and my family. And like, I don't think anybody would expect that the way he wrestles. But like, if you're ever like around him and like him just being around bunnies, this man is the Rabbit King. And I've seen him just whole bunnies just surround him. He just looks like the most like wholesome person in the world.
I was gonna say, I remember from his Twitter seeing the Rabbit King, and I'm like, before actually getting to talk with him, I always was like, I wonder what the hell that is about. So it's kind of interesting hearing about that. Next one, kind of a group of people, the Second Gear Crew.
Crazy. They're crazy people, but I love them. I feel like every single like one of them has their own like quirks. But they all have like this genuine, just like crazy energy about them.
Yeah.
And I'm always so excited to see them because I know they're going to do something like insane. I've seen Matthew Justice jump off balconies and everything else and just unprotected chair shots. I'm like, what is this man doing?
Oh, God, yeah. Nope. I've said about them plenty that when you hear them getting announced for a match, you know you're in for some mayhem. Next one that I guess I didn't realize you had actually shared the ring with, but hey, pretty impressive. Deonna Perazzo.
Very smart. She's very, very smart when it comes to wrestling, and she's so kind. Every time I've like gotten to see her and just talk about wrestling, I feel like I've learned so much from her. And I feel like she deserves so much more from wrestling because she is honestly one of like the top independent women today.
Oh, totally agree with you. I mean, there was that time she was the, as she called it, the champ, Impact and AAA. And I mean, she's been all over the place. So definitely one of the top ones out there. I can totally agree. Next one, Willow Nightingale.
She is so kind and like a bubbly, loving person. And I really want to wrestle her again. We had a match at Black Label and I had a blast. And I would love to do it again.
Oh, yeah. No, that'd be one I wouldn't mind seeing. Last but not least, another kind of group, but you've been in the ring with both of them. Bussy, Allie Katch, and Effie.
They're literally like family to me. Effie is like my gay uncle that I love seeing. He's I just love him and Cranberry, and my mom will like turn on his podcast because it's the only podcast she likes that's wrestling. And my dad will be like, what do you want to listen to? And she's like, not this, put on Effie. And then I've always like loved Allie. I've been around her since like I really first started in wrestling. She's like my older sister. I've seen the ups and downs and she's seen my ups and downs, but she's always been there. And I love her so much.
That's awesome. And I mean, I've seen some of the work with either both and always entertaining. And I mean, right now, the two of them, GCW tag champs, they're doing a hell of a job with their. That is about all I have. I wanted to give you a chance, plug some of the shows. I know we kind of, talked about some this weekend, and plug your social media so people can, know where to find you.
So all of my social media is at Billie Starkz, Billie, and then Starkz is Starkc. And my matches for this weekend, I'm going to be in Iowa for me versus Ruby Soho at Wrestling Revolver. It's going to be a really great show. I'm very excited for. And then on Sunday, I will be wrestling Nick Wayne. It's very, very exciting because we're both very young wrestlers and we just want to show the world what we can do. And that will be at JCW, and I believe it's streaming on YouTube, so it's a free show.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to check that out. I know, like I said, I'm kind of bummed that, the Revolver show happened to be on the same week as the other commitment I had, but, you versus Ruby Soho is one that I'm definitely going to have to, order on Fight because, I mean, it is going to be streaming on Fight. And JCW with Nick Wayne, I mean, him coming off some of the matches he's had recently, another great young talent out there. The two of you, I'm pretty excited to see how that turns out. Want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me today, and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you so much for having me.